there's a difference between a tab and a tap.
A tab is a bill you run.
Tap is the literal logo.
Tap is literally the... And the weird thing is,
when you
the
say,
same works both ways.
Exactly. That's why I thought it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Cool. What's up, guys? It's an Arcadian. Welcome to... What's up, guys? It's an Arcadian. Welcome to Reviews on Tap. And today we're reviewing A Quiet Place. Dun, dun, dun. This movie is brilliant. Let's start off by that. It's an amazing film. I once watched a video where a guy was explaining how like we take horror for granted as a genre. Like it's an opportunity to create like great creative films through horror, but we always mess it up by thinking it's this shallow popcorn genre that is not really respected as other genres. And movies like Get Out and A Quiet Place kind of show you that horrors are actually a very important genre in film, if you do it properly. The reason why A Quiet Place is an amazing movie is that it has a brilliant concept, but it doesn't rely on the concept to drive the whole story. Above the concept, hand in hand as well as a good story that helps the film, you know, carry out. And what I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. The Purge is a beautiful concept, but it relies too much on its concept to drive the film because the story is a shit in the movie. But what Quiet Place does is you're so invested in the story, and then the concept is like a backdrop, which is brilliant, which makes for a brilliant film. So basically the movie is about family living in this new world where you cannot make a noise. If they make a sound, they attract these creatures that are very hypersensitive to sound. They cannot see, but they're hypersensitive to sound. And they actually don't eat people, they just hate sound so much, so they attack anything that is too loud and they kill it. There's this family that's trying to be normal in this new world, but trying their best not to make a noise. John Krasinski, Jim from The Office, is the father, and Emily Blunt, who is actually his wife in real life, is his wife in the movie. Yeah, Emily Blunt and John Krasinski are married, and they have kids together. Yeah, it's crazy. Funny story, Emily Blunt read the script for A Quiet Place. She wasn't supposed to be cast in the film, and she liked it so much, she actually asked John if she could be in the movie. I don't know if that's fair, but she did a good job, so it's cool. What made this film so interesting is that you spend the whole time just holding your breath, because they have to keep quiet, otherwise if they attract noise, they attract the monsters. So the whole cinema was quiet most of the time. Taking away someone's ability to make a noise or make a sound is like taking away a piece of someone's humanity. And there's these people who are trying to be normal in this new world where they kind of, a big chunk of who they are is removed from them, because as humans we're very loud in everything we do, you know. There's a scene where the mother is teaching the son mathematics, and I'm like, this is pointless. Math, you're in a world that doesn't give a shit about maths, but you know, they're trying to create this normal environment for the kids to make them feel like there's still hope, there's still life, and you can still live properly. And then there's a daughter who's kind of she's special. I can't explain why, but she adds a very interesting dynamic to specific situations in the film. She plays quite a pivotal role towards the end of the movie. There have been a lot of sensory horrors coming out, so horrors that kind of play on people's senses. Funny enough, that stuff always works in a way, if it's done properly. The concept of it works. There was a film called Don't Breathe about a blind guy hunting kids in his house, which was very interesting to watch. And then there was a film called Hush about a deaf girl who was taking care of her, who was house sitting in the woods, and a man was trying to intrude the house to kill her. So the film was interesting because it was from the deaf girl's perspective. Horrors that play on senses can be like a new wave of horror if they're done properly, because there's a lot to play with if you're clever about it. And I think A Quiet Place played with it in a very smart manner. This might be a reach, but I feel like it will get an Oscar nomination for maybe writing, maybe Best Actor for Jim. Jim from The Office, yeah. I mean, people love it when people can act without speaking. It's always like a vibe when it's done properly. So they're going to probably ride the Sally Hawkins wave from Shape of Water. She got nominated for an Oscar for The Shape of Water and she didn't say a single word. The Artist, a whole mime movie, Oscar nomination. So John Krasinski will probably get an Oscar nomination for Quiet Place for his performance, and he'll probably get a writing Oscar. In a weird way, I felt like I was watching a drama with horror elements. The horror of the film wasn't a gimmick, which is usually the case with horror movies. It's very gimmicky, and because it's so gimmicky, horrors become very predictable. Horrors are so predictable that I even know a certain camera angle is going to do something different, you know, open the mirror, when you close the mirror, there's a guy behind you. That's like a horror gimmick, you know. So everything becomes so predictable, and I love that in A Quiet Place, the horror is not a gimmick. It actually adds to the story. In a strange way, a lot of the time the tension never really breaks because they still have to be quiet. So the tension doesn't break throughout the film. The film holds the tension for like an hour and 40 minutes, which is crazy. As films go, there will be a point where they'll have to use the element they're avoiding to their advantage. You kind of anticipate the fact that as much as this film is quiet, there's going to be a scene where things are going to get very loud. I think it's normal to anticipate that as a viewer. How they use sound design at certain climaxes for certain scenes in a very satisfying way was actually pretty dope. Get Out was written by Jordan Peele, who is known as a comedian, and John Krasinski wrote and directed A Quiet Place, and his claim to fame was Jim from The Office, which was a comedic role, and his other films were very light comedic. I think I saw him in a rom-com. Comedians writing horrors might be a thing, and I think that's pretty dope because it seems like they really know what they're doing. Because comedians are known for being good writers, so in a weird way, it kind of makes sense that they'll be able to think up some very creative horror films, especially because they seem very hard on themselves as writers. So they wouldn't just allow any type of story to be told in a horror context. So yeah, The Quiet Place is a dope film. I'll definitely put on my tab. It's also a good date, because because when I went to watch it, I went with friends, and two of the people watching the film knew nothing about the film, so they had no information on it, which made it more entertaining for them. Besides the fact that it's brilliant, it's actually a very entertaining movie, and that's why it's like a proper dope ass movie.